beautiful souls. Good to be with you today. I wanted to create a short video today to talk about several things that are happening in August, and especially today being the Lion's Gate of a heightened part of the Lion's Gate. It doesn't mean that the gate just opens up and then begins to close right away, kind of a thing. So please don't look at it that way. And I thought it'll be good to give you maybe 4 main things that you can focus on for this next month. But when I tuned in and asked my own inner wisdom, my inner wisdom said these 4 things that you're going to be talking about today aren't just for this month. So I want to make sure that this continues. These 4 things I will be talking about will continue to support you, and you can revisit, maybe watch this video again to remind yourself again of these 4 things I will be talking about. And when I tuned in and muscle tested myself on these 4 items, I got up to December of this year. You really want to focus on these 4 things. But starting around today, August 8th, some of you will be watching this after that, but that's okay. Focus in on some of these things, key elements that I will be bringing up. And I will be pulling maybe 1 or 2 cards, and I have actually pulled one right before I got on the call, just to see what message we really need to tune into also. So I'm going to start with that first. The card that I pulled is Believe. Okay. And it says the best is yet to come. Right? Best is yet to come. And the picture itself, I'm just going to hold it up for a little bit. It's important that you take a look at the card and decipher or let inner language show the way also. That's something you can cultivate on your own. And when you do that, your intuition really gets tuned up, and you can maybe tune the piano kind of thing, when you can look at the picture and then you can say, okay, this is saying something to me, even though it has a title that says Believe, and it does say that the best is yet to come. You can just say, okay, what is this trying to depict in my own life? Is it saying something to me? All right. And based on that, my initial thought was, oh, wasn't it lovely that something that I have planted, and this just goes so well together, because I was shuffling and I said, what do we all need to hear today in this call? And this came up. And as you know, that you recall from what I talked about in February, celebrating the water tiger year, and just the video that I did, last week, that, I said it's important that you planted some kind of seeds in the grounds by May, and hopefully many of you did that. And if you haven't quite planted what it is that you desire, what it is that you want to manifest, what is it that is true to your own expressions, and if you haven't planted, please do. You might say, well, is it too late? No, it's never too late. But let's say if you did that, it's starting to kind of open up. It's starting to push up through the ground, and the ground is warming up. And that's what the August 8th, August 7th, around that time is. In the Chinese 24 solar system that the Japanese calendar is based on, also in the lunar calendar that we're based on, August 7th and 8th and around 9th, around just this time, is when the earth ground warms up the most. And this is when what you've planted will begin to push up against the soil, and it'll begin to grow. Okay. So that is literally probably happening in some areas where you live or within yourself. And that's what's starting to strive, right? That is what is trying to grow towards the solar energy. So what a perfect card to pull today to remind you to attend to your seeds, attend to what you've planted, allow that to start to open up, because you've put a lot of effort into it and a lot of trust into it. And the last card I pulled was faith. So you create faith, and believe is very similar, isn't it? So now you have to believe in your own faith, and you want to believe in what is coming your way, as well as the efforts you've put in so far in your life, but particularly this year. Okay. So let's move on to these 4 items that I wanted to talk about today. And I have included a picture between my conversations here. I will have a little infograph that will be embedded here, so you can take a look at it as well. But if you haven't, you could check out the Facebook page, Breathe Inc. Facebook page, or you can go to Instagram, Masami Covey, and you can see the infograph that I created with the 4 items. The first one was know your true hunger. Know your true hunger. It's a great time to check back in. It's the energy of the lion, energy of Leo, energy of your inner roar, as well as what you're roaring outward externally. You want to check back into what is your inner voice trying to get at. But oftentimes we don't spend enough time to pay attention to your inner roar. And it's hard to hear your inner roar because you don't take enough time for your inner true hunger. You wouldn't know what your inner true hunger is till you create stillness and silence and emptiness and time for pause. If you don't create them and you're just, shoving things in to your mouth, but also to your mind, it's just information overload. You won't know what it is that you're roaring for. And that is your true hunger. So just take a moment right now, and then we'll do a little meditation a little later, but ask yourself, do I really know my true hunger? And the hunger is, what are you desiring for? What is it that you're reaching for? Do you feel satiated, or do you always feel like you're not enough? Well, that's something that you want to tune into and say, am I feeling true hunger, or I'm just feeling not enough? And that's why I'm shoving things into my system, into my inboxes, into my day-to-day, so I don't create any time to pause. So just check back in. Do I really know my true hunger? Ask yourself that question. If you're just overstuffing it with other people's expectations, dreams, desires, noise, information, you probably don't know your true hunger. So just pause. And I'll pause too right now. Tune into that. Good. And then on the physical level, what I'm seeing a little bit more in the past couple of weeks that will go into the next couple of weeks as well, that will impact, I think, many of us, is the blood sugar balance. Many of us are having blood sugar dysregulations. And what that means is that you might have noticed yourself kind of slipping back into skipping breakfast or just snacking for lunch and eating later and later in the evening because you're like, oh, I'm just not hungry enough. And then all of the sun around 8 o'clock rolls in and you say, I am actually hungry. And you're eating too big of a meal at that time, or you're snacking on something sweet or crunchy. And so really, please check back into your sugar balance and the blood sugar in particular, because that is going to impact your adrenal glands and the thyroid. And I'm seeing more and more thyroid issues pop up in the last couple of months, maybe much more than the usual amount. Okay. And it's been kind of easy to slip into your regular timing of eating and having that kind of a rhythm that is supportive to your own inner balance. That's when you lose touch with your true hunger also. So you just don't know. You're just kind of like snacking. Maybe I'm hungry. Oh, I'm just not. But that is not supportive of really getting to know your own hunger, really feeding yourself at the regular timing so that you can do other things that are more creative and you're not wasting your time trying to digest at the wrong time of the day, or you don't have enough fuel to be creative, so on and so forth. Okay. So make sure you do the supportive thing for yourself and come back to your bookends, which I talk all the time. Beginning of the day, end of the day. Make sure those two bookends are supportive of you. And everything in between could get a little bit messy. Summertime, in the Southern Hemisphere, you are going into seasonal change as well, right? So you want to make sure that your bookends, morning sunlight, evening bedtime. Please start to pay attention to that so you don't get distracted by everybody else's noise. Okay. And, this is something that I was saying to myself too. It's like, oh, this will do, this little snack will do kind of eating patterns. I was starting to slip into that. So I'm pulling myself back, coming back to the bookends, making sure that I am attending to me. All right. And on the little side note, before I go into the second item, is a supplement called GlucoBalance by Biotics is really good for those of you that are struggling with the blood sugar issues. It's called GlucoBalance, and I will post the link underneath here so that you can look it up. That's a great kind of a multivitamins, but it's formulated to support your blood sugar. So it's best taken between meals, actually. So maybe a couple of hours you've had your breakfast, you take one capsule. And then a couple of hours after you've had your lunch, you take another capsule. And if you want to, you could take it a little bit after your dinner, but usually just starting with the morning and mid-afternoon, just one capsule each, it can be very supportive of your blood sugar. Okay. All right. The second item is discernment. So I came up with 4 things. First is really get to know your true hunger. The second thing is discernment. And it's really, discernment is one of the most important skills you want to work on for the rest of your life. And many of you have heard this story, but my Zen teacher told me on my very first session with him of learning from him, he said, Masami, you've got to work on your power of discernment because you're lacking in that. And I think out of, just all these months of information overload, and there are so many options out there, just too many. Many of you remember when you had 2 options for bottled milk, or, you had 2 options for breads. You had maximum 2 places you can go to in the weekend. And now it's just everything but the kitchen sink is thrown at us. So discernment is really important. And that's connected to finding your true hunger. Because if you know your true hunger, you know what you need to discern to feed that lion in you, right? So tune into your inner knowing space, and that's actually your heart. Okay. And when you can tune into your inner knowing space, which is your heart, it becomes a place like an instrument for your peace and tranquility. Your heart becomes an instrument, like a harp that you're playing, or a violin, or a cello, or a piano that you're playing inside that is tuned in just right. And it becomes an instrument for you to discern. So let's do a little quick meditation together. And maybe get settled. If your legs are crossed or arms are crossed, relax them, uncross them, get grounded on your feet. I like to wiggle my toes, so I'm doing that right now. So I am here. I am here. Press your hands up against your thighs, thighs up against your hands, connecting with your body for a moment. And go ahead and close your eyes. Go ahead and place one hand or both hands at your heart center. So that means your hands will rest right on your sternum area between your breasts. And ask yourself, what do I truly want? what do I truly want? This is different than what do I truly need. I want you to tap into the want. Want meaning desires. And then go a little bit deeper and say, what is my heart truly yearning for? What is my heart truly yearning for? Wait for the answers to come from your heart center. When the answers come, generally, those answers will gently bump up against your hands. That's why placing your hands, asking particular region of your body, using your hands are going to be important. You could use one hand, you could use both hands, it doesn't matter. What is my heart truly yearning for? And once you hear the answer, let's not stop there today. Let's ask your heart, let's have a dialogue between your hands and your heart. Your hands are going to be asking your heart, why? Why do you yearn for that? Or why is that your true wants? Why do you want that? Why do you yearn for that? Why? So for instance, for me, I yearned for silence along with stillness. And so I asked, why? Why do you need stillness and silence? And my body, my heart said, because my nervous system has been flipped. My nervous system is buzzing and feels like a little bit of a live wire. It's been that way for a while. That's why my heart is yearning, she says, I yearn for that silence and stillness. So then I went to, well, why my nervous system is flipped? Why? So I'm going a little further. Why? And you wait for the answer. I received my answer pretty quickly, and I'll share mine. My heart says, well, that's because you don't ever stop. You just constantly create. My heart smiled at me and said, don't you see all your notebooks filled with ideas? And I'm smiling because it's making me kind of laugh having this dialogue with my heart. And so I'm going to ask one more time, well, why? Why I can't stop and I take notes? I have so many notebooks. Why? Why? My heart gently says, first of all, know that I love you. And I received that. And my heart says, that's because you feel less. You feel that you're not enough. And I'm called to do the why again. So I'm going to go into one more depth and see maybe that's as far as I need to go today or not. Why? Why do I feel that way, heart? That I don't feel enough. That I feel less. Well, this answer surprised me, everyone. My heart said, that's because you were taught to be more. You're taught to be more. And showed me the image of me as a kindergartner. Little kindergartner, about 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. I'm going to tune into myself and say, if I need to ask why again. My heart says no. You know, everyone, this is spontaneously happening, so it's surprising me as well. But my heart said, you don't need to go into peeling another why. You need to hold her in your arms and just love her. Just love her. So I'm doing that. I'm just loving that little girl that was told to be more. So I'll take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Go ahead and relax your hands. Take a moment. If you need to pause the video to take notes, I recommend that. I was going to actually just guide you all through this. I did not plan this. I think asking the why question up to about 5 times is probably the maximum that you need to in terms of the layers. Because if you do too many layers at once, that can also flip your nervous system. That's what my inner guides are saying. It's like, don't do too much. Just do just the right amount that you can handle today. So you can recalibrate. Then you can revisit this meditation again. Okay, so ask, what do I want in my heart? What does my heart want? What is my heart truly yearning for? Those are the first questions you ask. Wait for the answers to bounce up against your hands. Then based on that answer, you go into several layers deeper. Those are the layers that we don't do. We just hear the answers and move on. So these next couple layers that you can do on your own. I did 4 whys. I think we can, naturally, safely, energetically, metabolically, you'll be supported to do about 5 whys. But for me, 4 layer was enough. And after that, it was no longer about why, but just to hold that space for me. My little child, my little Masami that was waiting in there. Okay. So I hope that helps to bring discernment back in and letting your heart become your instrument. Number 3 is responsibility. And we all hear the word responsibility and we all have a sense of what that means. And it is true that you are responsible for your own well-being, for your own feelings, how you interpret things, how you react and respond to things, whether you respond versus react. That is also your responsibility. And this is really important. I think this Lionsgate height of this opening is inviting us to take responsibility for our next steps. And so please don't look at it as it opened, it's going to close at the end of the August or 22nd or something, and then it's over. No, I did not get that. My intuition clearly said these 4 items, 4 things I'm talking about. This is number 3, responsibility. These are going to carry us on to about early to mid-December. So please revisit this and do some of these exercises. Responsibility, you're responsible for how you feel and your well-being, but you're also responsible for your energy. So I mean, not just the energetic fields. As you know, I'm a functional nutritional therapist. I need to bring it back to the body. You're responsible for your metabolic energy. What that means, you're responsible for your blood sugar regulations. you're responsible for how you nourish your being, your body. This body isn't just a vehicle. This is your companionship. This is your best friend. This is your teacher. This is your student. This is your ancestors. And this is your future. So it's so much more than just a vehicle that carry you forward. Okay, carries you forward. It's not, please don't dismiss it as a vehicle that you fuel up and then oil change and rotate tires occasionally. Okay, it's your most important travel companion. They're always with you, never abandons you, never, ever says, I had enough with you, and it will leave you. It will always be with you till your last breath. Okay. And I think a couple of things I've already talked about, but you're responsible for your bookend practices: morning sunlight, morning hydration, cleaning your tongue, going to bed at a reasonable time, and all these other things I've been talking about. And please, I think one of the things I talked about last video was about comfort. If you're always looking to be comfortable, you're not going to evolve. Going from 3D, 4D to 5D, we're still in the 4D transitional time. It's not comfortable, but if you go for comfort, you'll be in the lukewarm water. Okay. So lukewarm water isn't going to make you expand or grow. It keeps you small and keeps you stuck and stagnant. So, changes are not comfortable. So if you feel like you're getting dragged down to this place of, I'm looking for comfort, pull yourself back, become your own cheerleader, your own spiritual coach, and say, you know what, that's not what we're here for. We're here to evolve. Evolution requires us to become uncomfortable at times. Chris talks about this all the time, but the learning comes from disequilibrium. Okay. And I think that's all I need to say about the number 3, responsibility. And the last item is alignment. Alignment is something that when I was tuning into the number 8, I was meditating on a number 8, and it showed me these pictures of the infinity, yes, but it was like a right and left, darkness and light, the front and back, and right and left, the past and the future. It's this alignment. So see if you could find a nice alignment between what it is that you're carrying forward as traditions that will support you from the past into the future. And what are some of the future goals that will be met by today's actions? So align yourself so you're not too leaning heavily on trauma work and past work and your emotional work that is aligned too heavily so that you're getting pulled back too much versus too much future orientation, and you're too caught up in what can I do in the future. Well, come back to the alignment of this moment. So I think figure 8 teaches us a lot. Month of August is a very important time for that, because it's like, are you balanced on this side of the wing as well as this side of the wing? So, think of it as like a butterfly's wings, right? They have to be aligned and even, otherwise they can't fly. Think of birds, think of, anything that flies. Okay. And I think one of the things that really intuitively came for me about the word alignment, I said to my intuition, it's like, what do you mean by alignment? And it said, it's been tough. Like the last month, a month and a half has been, I think many of us been experiencing other people's projections and other people blaming you for their unfulfilled lives. And some of us have done that to others as well. Remember, it's right and left, both wings. We don't always have projections and blame come to us, but we might receive it and we don't know what to do with that. So we're doing that same thing back to somebody else or something else. Okay. But the last month or so, these projections and blaming have been so heavily weighted on many of us. And so I feel like we're all reeling from that. We felt a little bit attacked in a way or scarred. The wounds are healing, but the wounds are slowly healing a little bit, right? So this is on the supplemental level. B vitamins become really important. I love like the Bio-B complex, which I'll put aside on the link below. Bio-B complex is great. I also think that the zinc has such a beautiful healing power, especially when it comes to wound healing, that could be a really nice supplements to add. So if you've been slightly feel wounded and exhausted from and reeling from judgments, being the receiving end of the projections, or feeling like you got skipped over or ignored or undervalued. Oh, that's a big one. Undervalued. Okay. It's like things that shouldn't be overvalued are overvalued, and things that are like should be valued more are absolutely ignored and undervalued. So come back to that alignment within yourself. Say, okay, come back, heal the wounds. I can do this. And know that you're reeling from it a little bit. Okay. I think a lot of us felt a little off kilter. Okay. And that would show up on exhaustion, back pain, feeling like you have a little bit of headache in the morning. You might have felt a little sense of stagnation showing up in constipation, or like maybe liver bile's not flowing quite well. So find that alignment back again. Once again, bookend practices are going to be important. And also the alignment that comes from having a day or two of my really good friend today. We were on the call and she said, I just did a la-di-da day. She lives in the UK and she said la-di-da day. And I thought, oh, perfect. That kind of like swinging your arms with no really like, no agenda of the day. You don't need to accomplish X, Y, and Z. You're not going out to the city to purchase this and that, or you're not reading for the sake of learning, but it's like la-di-da kind of a day. So carefree, flowing, moving through without any trying to go upstream or anything like that. So if you could create that here and there, this next month or so, it's going to help you to realign you. The playfulness will come back. The restfulness will come back. The creativity will start to build up again. And I think you will have a little more energy reserves, in your bank account that maybe you've been overdrawing because of a lot of this like heavy energy that we've been experiencing for the last month and a half or so. Okay. So that's what I have for you. I think it's important with all these 4 things for the next until about early December. Focus on these 4 items. Stay flexible with some of the things that I talked about. And, I came up with 3 A's, but one is adjust based on your needs, based on where you live, based on the season of where you are in your life geographically, but season of your life. So adjust, adapt to based on what's going on, and make alterations. Does it need to be shortened? Sometimes maybe lengthened, right? Remember those pants that you used to buy? My parents used to buy pants that were like way too long when I was in elementary school, so they can save money, and they will do alterations and they will have multiple folds. And in each season I grow a little taller and they have to, take out the stitchings and then alter that, right? So it's kind of, that's what you're doing. It's the same pair of pants, but you're making the adjustments based on your seasons. Okay. So lastly, let me just repeat that again. Number 1, know your true hunger. Number 2, discernment. Number 3, responsibility. 4th, alignment. Okay. So I hope this was helpful for you. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do that. Really helps me. And please leave some comments below. I read them all, and I so appreciate it when you do leave me comments. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.